and I'm going to talk to you today about all things TikTok. So what I'll do is I'll run through the presentation. If you've got any burning questions, feel free to drop them in the chat or come off mute and ask. I don't mind. I'd rather it be more of a kind of two-way discussion. If you want to keep your questions till the end, also fine. I'll try and keep enough time towards the end for Q&A. So hopefully you're all aware of the phenomenon that is TikTok. And yeah, hopefully this is going to provide some kind of background information into how you can start making it work for your business, regardless of what your business actually is. So I will share my screen. Hopefully you'll all be able to see it in just 2 seconds, and we will go from there. Awesome, cool. So yes, as mentioned, my name is Oli. I'm the CEO of an agency called Nonsensical. We are based in central Birmingham, but we also have an office down in Bristol as well. So what we'll cover today is kind of why listen to me. I feel like we're pretty good on TikTok, but we'll let you be the judge of that afterwards. Why you should be on TikTok, kind of how it's absolutely transformed the world of social media and content production and consumption. How TikTok differs from your traditional kind of Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and other social media platforms that you may use. I'll then take you through kind of a different types of content that you can create. Again, TikTok is very different in the style and format that you create in content. We'll then talk about kind of how you can get started. The good thing about TikTok is actually relatively easy to get started in terms of the equipment that you need and the type of content you can create. And then I'm just going to run through a couple of great companies on TikTok and some inspiration for you to go and have a look at, and then we'll jump into the Q&A. So hopefully that's all good. So who are we? First of all, so we're Nonsensical. We're a TikTok marketing agency and publisher. So we've actually been and grown some of our own communities online on TikTok, which I will talk through in just a moment. We've got over 1 million followers combined on the publications and communities that we run ourselves. And then on behalf of brands, we do everything from TikTok strategy through to content creation, through to TikTok community management, both organic, where you're creating content and building community, and also paid when you're using TikTok's algorithm and data to start advertising to your potential audience on the app. So this is us. This is what we do in our time. So we have two sides of the business. As I said, one is the actual community building. So we've got combined 1 million followers on TikTok and Instagram, predominantly on TikTok now though. Birmingham Updates, which started 11 years ago. We're now up to just shy of 14,000 followers. Best of Bristol, which showcases all the good stuff that's happening in Bristol as an awesome city, is up to 23,500. On Facebook and Instagram, on those two, we've actually got another 800,000 followers. So pretty big communities on other platforms as well. And then just 12 months ago, we decided to launch our own TikTok community called Endless Mythology. We started that 12 months ago. It's now at 254,000 followers. We've had about 25 million video views in that time. And then finally, just in December of last year, we launched Endless Pride. And as you can see, just in a short space of time, we've managed to grow that community to 78,000 followers. And it's now actually already bigger than the official Pride account, which is absolutely amazing. And we'll come on to how you can do that yourself very soon, because like I said, it is possible to do that and get that kind of reach and engagement through communities. So everyone asked me, like, why TikTok? Well, first and foremost, the most people will think of TikTok, but if you've got kids in particular, if it's just an app for kids dancing, I can confirm that yes, it maybe was, and it started like that, but it's absolutely not anymore. So thinking about TikTok as another channel to reach your community is really important. Again, both business to business and business to consumer. Overall, globally, they've got 1 billion monthly active users, but even just in the UK, there's over 23 million monthly active users on the app. And 44% of those are over the age of 25. So yes, 56% of them are younger than 25, but I'm sure there's not many over 25-year-olds that are just using the app for dancing. And again, it's one you can get that out of your preconception out of your mind. That actually becomes a really, really powerful place to build communities. The big two things that TikTok have done is, one, they've actually overtaken Google as one of the biggest search engines. So people are now going to TikTok to discover more, to search, which is just incredible. And the average time spent on TikTok per day per user is 85 minutes, which is now longer than YouTube. So this app has unbelievable sticking power. It has unbelievable usage. And that means that there is unbelievable opportunities for you to create content and reach audiences through the app. But what TikTok's actually done is it's totally transformed the way that social media works. So if we think for a moment about your traditional social media platforms like, say, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, they were all built from a follower mentality. So it was all about, how many people can I get to opt in to receive my content on their newsfeed? That was all great back in 2010 when Facebook was actually quite easy. If I take Birmingham Updates as an example, we grew to 65,000 followers in 3 days on Facebook during the riots in August 2011. And that's because the algorithm was favorable. Whereas now, if you run a Facebook account or even a LinkedIn account, you will notice that even if you have, pick a number, 10,000 followers, the algorithm within the social media apps will only let your content reach between kind of 5 to 10% of those people. So your average reach is actually between kind of 500 to 1,000, even though you've got 10,000 followers. And they've done that because they want you to pay. Zuckerberg's got a gazillion yachts that he needs to keep full of fuel. So they created this concept of boosting. So what they do is they make sure that your content is seen by some of your community, but they effectively want you to pay to reach the rest. So that's fine, it works. They're still powerful platforms. I completely understand why they're there, and the fact that you can use them both organically and through paid advertising to reach your communities and build a community online. But the fundamental difference that TikTok has done in terms of the way the app works is that it's built out something that's purely based on discovery of new content. Okay, so the fundamental difference when you go into, say, Instagram compared to TikTok is that on Instagram, you are shown content from the people that you follow, whereas on TikTok, you come into the For You page. Okay, so the For You page is, it could basically be any video that has ever been uploaded onto TikTok could appear in your feed. And TikTok, using the information on you, that is the types of content that you're viewing anyway. So I'm a massive Lego fan. It's the only thing that actually makes my brain switch off. So I go on TikTok and I watch a lot of people making Lego and discovering new sets and that kind of thing. So my algorithm knows that I'm a fan of that. So now I'm started to surface more Lego content from people who are creating content around that particular topic. They do this through the types of video that you're watching, the types of hashtags linked to those videos that you're watching, whether you're commenting, liking, sharing, whether you're watching them more than once. All of this information TikTok is collecting on you as the user and deciding based on the algorithm the types of content that you might like. So when you go onto TikTok, it is an absolute, you've literally got no idea what is coming next. And this is why it's great for discovery. Okay, so the reason why it's so addictive is because you have no idea what's coming next. So you're always just scrolling to the next one. Whereas Instagram, eventually you'll get to the bottom of your feed and you'll close the app. Whereas TikTok, it just keeps you there for longer, which not probably the best thing for mental health and that kind of side of it, but it absolutely works. So why is that beneficial for a brand? Well, most importantly, if you're a company on TikTok, if your content is good and constantly is around a particular topic or content type, and you're really trying to build a community within a niche, you can have 5, 10, even 15 followers, but your video may get 1 million views. So there is no correlation between the number of followers and the amount of video views that you can get. And that's why it's really exciting. The other thing that TikTok have done is they've made it kind of make sense and work around things called trends. So trends could be hashtags, it could be songs, it could be like sounds potentially that other people are using that then other creators jump on and copy. So this whole concept of being able to jump onto other people's videos and make it your own is actually what TikTok want you to do. Whereas on other platforms, it's kind of frowned upon. So in essence, the way TikTok is set up is massively beneficial to companies right now, because you can build huge communities despite having a small following. And as we talked about with, say, Endless Mythology, to grow that to 250,000 followers without any kind of media or advertising spend in 12 months, I don't think you can do it on any other platform right now. Likewise, to get Endless Pride to 77,000 followers in 3 months without any media spend, again, it just shows the power of, if you're creating really good content that resonates with your community, there is opportunities to grow. Next slide. So I touched briefly on this, and one way to win on TikTok is to jump on these trends. So if you've used the app, you will know that there's a button called Discover. And when you click on Discover, it basically shows you all the things and all the types of trends or songs or sounds that have the most usage on TikTok at that moment. So if you're rugby fans, for example, you'll know that TikTok sponsored the Six Nations. So if you go on to TikTok onto Discover, today Six Nations is trending. So what you can then do is start to see the type of content that other people are viewing, and then work out, actually, is there a way that I can turn this type of content and make it relevant to my community? So it's good to constantly be tracking what is working, what other people are creating, and then thinking about, well, how do I make that relevant to my audience? And this is one of the fundamental things with TikTok. It's making sure that you're so set on the type of community that you want to build. So if you have a service business that's for, say, accountants, what is it that accountants want to be seeing, right? So an accountant will use the platform. There's 23 million active users in the UK. There will be accountants on there, and they will be going on to discover interesting content. I'll come on to this in just a moment, but what you have to decide is, right, who is my audience? Who are the people that I really want to engage with? And what type of content is really going to resonate with them? Okay, so what you can do on TikTok is get a little bit giddy and start jumping on every single trend and every single hashtag and every single song that comes up, and that won't work. What you have to do is be very selective and make sure that the content that you're creating 100% resonates with your community. Because if you can do that, that is when you'll start to win. So it's best to have a go on TikTok, have a look at the Discover tab, start to see what people are creating. And believe me, the first time you go on there, you'll be like, what the hell is this? But when you start using the app and it starts to work you out, it becomes really addictive, and you can start to see the power and how it can work for you and your brand. The second way to kind of win on TikTok is authenticity. Now, TikTok's own mantra is don't create ads, create TikToks. And what you'll find is when you start to scroll down your For You page, there is an unbelievable amount of authenticity. People are very real on the platform. If you compare it to the likes of Instagram, where people try and create this kind of fake world that they live in through the kind of influencer trend, that kind of taken a back seat on TikTok. People are very real, they're very authentic, they create content that just resonates with people, that could be entertaining. And what you struggle with as a client or as a company, sorry, on TikTok is that you try and potentially force it. You make your videos too polished, you overthink it, you have massive sign-off processes. And the reality is TikTok is a platform that's designed for people just being real. And when you start to use the app, you will really start to understand this and see this in motion. So when thinking about starting your TikTok or trying to improve the content that you're creating, always think authenticity. Now, the problem that you have is that TikTok has made content creation actually quite accessible. The reason why it shot to height through the pandemic is because you could create TikToks from your front bedroom that could go viral. And it meant that people kept on doing it. So when you're scrolling through your For You page, just picture if your brand was to appear in between two of the videos that you're seeing. And when you start to look into the content you've created, you've got to look and say, is it is it authentic? Does it fit within the feed? And that is really, really powerful, because as soon as it doesn't, as soon as you try and do too much like branded videos and that kind of thing, you will lose. And there's some examples that I'll show you later on of where brands have done it really well and shown that true kind of creativity and authenticity. You might recognize this guy on the right hand side. Some people say he's not real and it's all fake, but I'm going to stick with the fact that he is real. So this is Francis. This is the TikTok train guy. He sticks GoPro on his head and goes train spotting. And recently, because he's grown a community to about 2.2 million followers, is actually now the face of Gucci and North Face, which is bonkers, but it's just the weird world that we live in. So what TikTok has again done is it's really promoted this idea of having a presenter. So somebody that is really confident, good on camera, really engaging, that can front videos. Now, again, one of the reasons why companies don't start a TikTok account is because they often don't have people who can act or want to be on TikTok. If you have social media managers in-house, or you're kind of a sole founder at the moment and you're starting to grow your team, you may not want to be the face of TikTok. So it's worthwhile trying to find and invest in good presenters. So someone that really represents your brand, someone that can create content quickly, someone that understands the app. Because actually having a face or a personality really, really works when it comes to the platform. And again, as you scroll through TikTok, you'll see that most videos, the majority, will have some person potentially just really fronting up the content and making sure that they're really engaged, and they're creating content in the right way that really works. So and if you haven't seen Francis, definitely go and check him out. He is absolutely hilarious. And then the next thing, again, Ryanair, absolutely killing it on TikTok at the moment. They are unbelievable. They use this thing called the I'm lost filter, where you can basically put your eyes and mouth onto basically any picture, and they do it on planes, and it is just hilarious. But again, just have a look at that and think, like, this is Ryanair. It's a really well-known company. Okay, maybe not all for the right reasons, but they have fully adopted TikTok as a real way of generating engagement through the platform and creating content as authentic. So what Ryanair do is they jump on features. Now, features are available within TikTok. So these are things like green screen. So you can basically use a green screen filter within TikTok, and you can record a video stood in front of it. So as an example, we work with Birmingham City Council on their TikTok. So we will do like 5 things to do in Birmingham this weekend, and we'll use the green screen to showcase photos. And it's all really simple to do using the features available in the app. The other thing that you can do is reply to comments with videos. So when you start to build a community and start to get comments, what you'll find is that people will ask you to create content on other things. So again, if I go back to the accountancy example, you may create a piece of content on 5 ways to really support your cash flow forecasting, or that kind of thing. And then someone may comment saying, oh, any chance you could do one on the difference between gross profit and net profit? And what you can do is you can reply to a comment with a video. And this is a great way of really building that 2-way interaction between you and your followers and your community. The other thing they've got is stitching and duetting. So again, this works really, really well for companies. And the concept here is that you can add your video either side by side or to the end of another video on TikTok. So for example, there will be lots of kind of misinformation going around, because unfortunately that's the world that we live in. But if you're a specialist in a particular area, you can go on and find people that are creating content and videos about your subject matter expert. And you can kind of duet those videos with one of your own, saying, well, that's not necessarily quite correct, or yeah, this is absolutely bang on, great advice. So you can use other content to really maximize yours and bring you that tone of voice and that kind of angle of how you're trying to create content and where you want your voice to be on TikTok. So great features. Live streams is another one. If anyone has an e-commerce business in particular, shoppable e-commerce and shoppable live streams are going to be massive in the next kind of 2 to 3 years. As an example, I put a post on LinkedIn the other day. There was a company in China that made $3 billion of revenue in 12 hours through a shoppable live stream. Now in China, that is kind of common because they're really used to purchasing content straight through live streams, but it is coming quickly, and it's coming quickly to the UK. So definitely worth checking that out if you're an e-commerce business. But live streams generally are a great way of, again, getting that two-way dialogue with your community. And then honestly, if you go onto TikTok and when you start creating them and click on features and filters, there are tons. Like I said, the I'm lost filter that Ryanair uses is absolutely genius. So go on, investigate, have a look, but make sure you use them because it really does help. And then the big thing really, for me is, like I said, people will tend to think TikTok is a B2C app. It absolutely doesn't need to be. What you have to think about is, how do I create a community of people who are interested in my service, my solution to their problem? Now, this is for any social media channel, not just TikTok, but nobody wants to be sold to, okay? People go onto social media for various reasons. One is to be entertained because they're walking for the bus or they're just about to go to bed and they just want a bit of escapism. Educational, people want to learn. Learn on TikTok is one of the biggest hashtags that you will see on the app. So think about what problems your potential clients or your prospects have, and create content to solve those problems. Again, think that TikTok is now one of the biggest search engines in the world. So if you're a business to do with cleaning swimming pools, or you have service for pilots, for example, there is a community on TikTok that you can build. But what you have to do is think about the content. Think about, what is it that I can create that will resonate, will help, will inspire your community. And the final thing to think about when it comes to content is the context. And this is the biggest thing for me. And this is what people forget. Majority of people will open TikTok when, sound being crude, but they're on the loo, they could be walking for the bus, they could be on their lunch break, they could be watching TV, and they're just scrolling through, right? So the context is they're on a mobile device more often than not. 95% of people on TikTok are on mobile, but also they're probably not fully engrossed. They're probably a little bit distracted. So context is everything. If you can understand what that person is doing when they're potentially going to consume your content, that will really help you when you're creating it. So when you think about creating content for TikTok, the first 3 seconds are literally the most important, because that is the time to hook people. It'll grab them, it'll grab their attention. And if you get them for 3 seconds, you're likely going to get them to 10, 15, 20, etc., etc. So I know if there's any videographers on the call, I apologize, but slow panning drone shots are just not going to cut it, because I'm already bored. If you show me a drone shot, I've literally gone. I'm on to the next one. So if you use presenters, the first couple of seconds, high energy, make sure you tell them why they need to watch the video, and really bring that level of kind of hook, we call it, to the first 3 seconds. So the context of how people are engaging and viewing is as important as the content that you're creating. But the other thing to think about is making sure that your content is really, really specific and targeted for the community that you want to build. If you're trying to be something to everyone, it will not work. The reason why mythology works is because people are obsessed with Thor and obsessed with, I don't know, Hades or whatever it may be. But if you're not obsessed with mythology, our account will not matter to you at all. And that's fine, because I don't want you to follow. So get into the mindset of what is the problems that your customers or potential customers have, and create content that really resonates with them. It solves problems, it's inspiring, it's helpful, and it helps them, like I said, to solve problems. So that is the absolutely fundamental when it comes to any social media, but TikTok in particular. So now we talk about content types. So one way to create content is through narration. So what you can do is you can get existing footage and potentially repurpose it for the benefit of TikTok. I will just say here, make sure all your videos are in 9:16. It's really important because people are consuming on mobile and it's in portrait mode. So I don't want to see any landscape videos on TikTok because they just will not work. So repurpose your existing content, and then you can start to do voiceovers, you can start to narrate over them and start to provide some background information for your community. If you go on to Endless Mythology, all of our videos are narration. So it gives you a good example of the type of content that you can create. But also, if you have got this back catalog of footage, actually repurposing it is a really good way of starting on TikTok, because you can create the content relatively easily. And then you've got presenter-led pieces that are done at home. So again, this type of content TikTok has made work. So this can be filmed from anywhere. It could be in an office, it could be at home, it literally could be on the side of the road if you wanted to. And this is great for telling short stories in a way that grabs your attention. So potentially doing like 5 things you didn't know and just talking through what they are. We run the social media and TikTok for an Indian restaurant down in Bristol. So we always do 5 things to try on the menu this week. And again, we get the green screen filter with pictures of nice curries. We have someone presenting and they're just talking through the different options. So if you have an e-commerce product, again, you could do that deal of the week potentially, and you can create this content from home using imagery on a green screen. This is also a great way of jumping onto trends that are potentially happening. So again, when you go on the Discover tab, you'll start to see the type of content that people are creating, and then you can begin to jump onto those. But these are lower production value. I'll come on to the equipment that you need to get going, but it's honestly not a lot. These are then slightly more informative videos. So we call these on location. So this is often where you'll need a camera person and a presenter. And these are great for telling more interesting, deep stories. And again, if you've been on TikTok, you will find that the kind of transition type videos where you're swiping the camera, they work really well. So having a really nice storyboard and a script to potentially talk about your product, talk about, it could be something to do with International Women's Day, which is of course today. You could tell a really nice story about female leaders or the female members of your team in this kind of nice transition style. So again, these are slightly more high production. They often require a presenter, they'll require a separate videographer and more of like a storyboard and a script, but it's a great way of telling your community a particular story. And then we've got live stream. So again, if you've been on, say, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and used the live stream filter or feature, it's very much the same on TikTok, but it helps the algorithm work out who your community are. So we often recommend doing these kind of once a month. Again, if you're an e-commerce brand, really jumping on this with shoppable live streams that are coming thick and fast is something really to watch out for. They've actually just partnered with Shopify to build greater integration between the app and the e-commerce platform. So definitely something to look out for if you're an e-commerce business. And then other things to consider. So again, just a little bit of a tip here. So if again you're scrolling down your feed and you hear a song that you really like, what you can do is click on this button here. And this will take you to be able to use that audio that someone else is using. So again, the concept of kind of copying is really quite powerful when it comes to TikTok. So if you see a video that someone else has done and you think, actually, that could really work for us, give it a go. It doesn't matter that you're taking inspiration from other people. That's what TikTok app is all about. So once you see a video you like, I said, tap on here, you will then start to see how other people have used that song. And then you can start to use that in your content going forward. So obviously back in the day when TikTok was called Musical.ly, it was all based on this, but they've integrated this use of songs into the app still. And the other thing is when you're scrolling through using songs, you'll start to then see videos of other people. So if your brand is using that song and people are just coming and scrolling through it to get inspiration, again, they will now start to see your content appearing as well. So it's a real good way for more discovery. Framing, hugely important. So when you create a video on TikTok, there's a lovely button in the top right-hand side called Preview. And it's super important that you do this because most people will forget that you have all of this noise down here, which is your caption. You'll have this noise down here as well, which is your kind of engagement buttons. So when you're adding text, make sure that it's not covered, make sure it's at the top. So some people you'll see have kind of captions down here and they're hidden by this text here. So just really important that you're viewing your content before it goes live to have a real nice look at what it's going to look like when it's posted. Again, framing, you got to think that if it's presenter led, having someone quite close to the camera really helps to just grab your attention straight away when you're when you're on the app. So definitely recommend thinking about framing. Again, filming 9:16 in portrait, hugely important, because you're taking up more kind of real estate of the phone by doing that. Copy, again, very similar to the likes of Twitter in particular, and Instagram when it comes to hashtags. But what you're trying to do here is keep your captions really short and sweet. So you want to kind of maybe use a pun potentially. This is where you're finding your tone of voice online is really important, but making sure your captions are really short and sweet. Most people will just watch the video and won't even engage with the caption. So don't try and oversell in that space. And you don't want that to take up too much of the video either. So short, sweet, try and include a pun. We always do, but that's when the brands we work with generally have a bit more of a playful tone of voice. Hashtags, keep them relevant. Okay. So if you are an accountancy firm, use hashtag accounting, hashtag finance on each of your videos, because it will help you and you help TikTok to work out which community and which audience you're trying to engage with. You can also start to see what other hashtags are being used. So if it's trending, for example, you can start to use those, but only if it's relevant. Only if it's relevant. So as an example here, charity might be trending, but if you're created a Christmas video, it may not be relevant. So think about hashtags really importantly, because actually it will start to kind of educate the algorithm into which type of content you should be creating and which type of people TikTok should be showing your content to. So it's really important that hashtags are used well. And then SEO, effectively, as I said, in terms of that search. So making sure the copy matches the video is really important, because when people are starting to search, you'll see, I don't know, things to do in Birmingham this weekend, people will search that on TikTok, or it could be like ways to replace my boiler or something. People will go on and search that. So if your video and your caption link, then you've got a great chance of being discovered even more. So I've talked a lot about that in terms of organic reach. So that is where you're creating content and letting the algorithm place your content in front of people organically. Just like the Meta with Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn and Twitter and all that good stuff, they also have a really quite powerful ads platform. So if you did want to go in and just test out actually paying for reach and having really targeted content going out to your target community, then the TikTok ads platform is getting much better. The data they're getting on people is much stronger now. So having the ability to use the data that TikTok have to pay to put your content in front of people is really important. But it doesn't change the fact that the content needs to still look organic. It still looks to look native, and you don't want it to stick out like an ad. So even if you are going to test some paid reach, the cost per impressions are actually really cheap at the moment, so it's worth testing. But think about the content before you do that, because you want to make sure that, like I said, it doesn't just stick out like a sore thumb. So getting started. So this is where it's quite fun, because anyone can create content. All you need is a phone with a good camera. So I personally use a Google Pixel 5. We have iPhone 12s for the team. They will go out and create content all on mobile. We don't use cameras, all on mobile. Microphones, having really good sound is really important. Again, remember that most people will be listening to your content, so you want to make sure that it's clear. So microphones, we use Rode lapel mics. They're really good. They work really well. But again, you don't need to spend loads of money on equipment. A lapel mic is simple. You can get it even wired that you plug into your phone, or wireless. It's only kind of 70 or 80 quid. So again, it's not inaccessible for you to be able to create content. This thing here is called a gimbal. It's like a phone stabilizer. We use these internally. These are DJI Osmo. Osmo 5 are the ones that we use. Again, it just helps to keep your phone stable. Alternatively, if you know you're just going to be stood in one position, think about getting a tripod with just a mobile extension. Again, all can be bought relatively cheaply. The other thing is lighting. So lighting is really important. If you're doing something that's front to camera, even just standing in front of the window is good for natural light, or you can get a ring light, again, relatively cheaply. And it just helps to make your kind of face brighter on the screen, and people are more likely to stop and engage with it. So reality is, equipment wise, you don't actually need that much to get started. And that's why I love TikTok. You don't need to go and spend thousands of pounds with a video agency to create big content. You can get out your mobile phone and you can start creating this afternoon. The other good thing about TikTok is the actual editing and filming platform that they've built within the app is really, really good. Again, it can be a little bit complex to begin with, but there will be loads and loads and loads of videos on YouTube or TikTok as well that you can actually see how to go and create them. So again, here, this is where you can start to add filters and effects. Here's where you can upload videos from that you've maybe created elsewhere. Here you can speed up the video, so you can do it in hyperlapse or slow-mo. Here you can select the length of your videos, whether that be 15 seconds up to 60 seconds or up to 3 minutes. And then you've also got the likes of kind of, the likes of add sound up here, and you can add filters, enhance and whatnot. So the actual ability to create content within the app is really powerful. The editing tools within the app as well are also very, very comprehensive and very good. So I created a video the other day, which was a conversation between me and my feet randomly, because I signed up to walk on fire for charity. I managed to film and edit that in 15 minutes just using the app. Alternatively, you can record content just using your camera on your phone, the camera app on your phone, and then using apps like InShot, which again, I think is actually, there's a free version. If not, it's like 10 quid. That is really, really good for editing video. So it is accessible. And that's the real thing that I love about TikTok, because you can create content quite quickly. If you did want to go into something more professional, then Final Cut or Adobe Premiere is absolutely fine. But I tend to think when you start to use those platforms that you're losing the authenticity of the app and being able to create content quickly and on the fly. So definitely recommend doing some tutorials around that. But like I said, they've built the platform to be able to create content really easily. And then just in terms of brands winning, so Duolingo, these are absolutely amazing. They've come up with this concept of having a character. So the Duolingo character that they use in a lot of their content, it works so well. So if there is something that you have, whether it's a mascot or something like that, take a look at Duolingo and see how they've done it. Super fun, super authentic. Ryanair that I've talked about, they use Plainface, which is just genius. So it brings their product to life. I've seen this used by the likes of universities, by loads and loads and loads of different brands. You can even do stuff, again, I'm going to pick on accountants, I don't know why. You could have a conversation with your computer with potentially got 0 on it, and have a discussion when you're trying to struggle to work out how to do payroll or that kind of thing. So there's loads of different things that you can do. Gymshark, as always, are the masters. But what the interesting thing I like about Gymshark is that their content is now very different. So on Instagram, it used to be really polished photography, and now they've gone into this kind of quick and dirty, create content at home that's really relatable. So think how they've changed their content strategy across the different apps. And then Black Country Living Museum, just because it's only 10 minutes down the road from where I am, but these guys are absolutely killing it. They're having an amazing time. So they use characters, they use sketches. So again, it's quite easy because they have the characters and that's what it's all about. But again, think about if you can create sketches and kind of make the content that you're creating really relate and resonate with your community. So I definitely recommend going and check out those 4. They're by far my favorite. Just a bit of a plug as well. If you are interested in seeing more, we did a report on the top 50 UK brands on TikTok. So if you go to nonsensical.agency, you can download that for free from the website and have a look through. We did a big insight report into it. And that is it. So I will now come to some questions, but if I did speak too quickly, or if there's anything that you wanted to kind of ask me afterwards, my mobile and email are there, so feel free to get in touch. Thank you.
That's great. Thank you. Thank you very much, Oli. That was absolutely incredible. So thanks ever so much for that. I have got some questions that have come into the chat. Are you okay for me just to quickly? Great. Okay. So one here from Joanna. So basically, that there's been a separate account that Joanna has set up, and she set up an individual account because basically the access to music, there was much more, from what I can gather, Joanna, there was much more sort of, I suppose, there was greater music available. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on obviously a business account versus I suppose individual account, and the diversity or the opportunity that gives, I suppose, a business to achieve on TikTok?
Yeah, good question. So when you create a business account, it does hinder the amount of music that you can use. There's different licensing rules.
Yeah.
I know this is recorded, so I won't say it, but it's up to you. If you want to risk it and just keep your business account as a creator account, you can do that. There's nothing wrong with doing that. So you will be able to get access to the kind of unlicensed music. If you want to follow the rules, you will just have a limited number of music. But again, I say limited, there is still absolutely tons. It just means that you can't use kind of commercial music for your business videos. But I always say follow the rules.
Does that help, Joanna? Yeah, great, fab, thank you. Okay, can you just clarify, you were talking about the dimensions of I think is the videos, it's 9x15 or 9x16, what was the?
Yeah, 9x16.
9x16, great, thank you.
So just think, when you look at your phone in portrait mode, it's 9 across, 16 up. And even when you're on Instagram and you're creating video, or LinkedIn or Facebook, most people will look at their phone like this. So having a landscape video only takes up that much of the screen. Because if you do a 9x16, it takes up the whole thing. So you get coverage of the whole phone. Okay,
great. Makes sense. Thank you. Do you have to post consistently on the same time and days?
So for Endless Mythology, we do. We post at 5 o'clock, Monday to Friday, every day. But with our brands and clients that we work with who don't pay us to produce a video each day, then we just do it as and when we like, really. We haven't seen that consistency in terms of posting at the same date or time has any impact. I mean, it's worked on Endless Mythology, but like, we've also got nearly 1 million views for Birmingham City Council, and we post as and when we have content. So it hasn't shown to make an impact.
Okay, good, thank you. Is TikTok just an app, or can it be used on a desktop as basically just I suppose to separate personal and business, I should imagine?
So they have got desktop features, but it's just more for viewing content rather than for creating. So I'd always recommend the app. The features that you have are a lot greater. Okay, good. Can people get access to your slides? Yeah, I'll send them through to you. Yeah, fine, great, thank you. Is there an optimum video length? No. And annoyingly, and I think it is annoying, TikTok have just announced that you can now create videos up to 10 minutes long, which nobody's going to watch a 10-minute video on TikTok. It just ain't going to happen. Honestly, I would stick to under 60 seconds. I can't remember who said it. It's a famous writer, but they said, if I had more time, I'd have written a shorter letter. Creating content that's shorter is harder, but it's actually much more impactful because you get across the message in a more succinct way. So the good thing at the moment is, if you want to cross-post your TikToks onto Instagram Reels, at the moment, Instagram Reels are maximum 60 seconds. So I always try and keep videos under 60 seconds. Instagram are testing 3-minute Reels now, but for me, just think about what the community is. Again, think about the context. The context of people using TikTok is that they've probably got a spare 10, 20 minutes, right? They're not on there like on a Netflix, say, where they've got 2 hours to kill. So creating content that's easily consumable, it's quite short, it's quite snappy, is really, really powerful. So yeah, not an optimal video length, but I would say under 60 seconds, just because that's what most people will watch. Okay, good, thank you. Any tips to make great transitions? Yes, generally just search transition on TikTok and it will bring up a gazillion videos of where people have done them. The ones I really like is where you kind of cover the camera and then you come out and then you're in a different location. Works quite nicely. Again, if you go on Birmingham Updates and go on to some of our TikToks, you'll see some of the transition videos we've done on there. So for example, you might click, and when you click, you then end up in another place. So there's loads and loads and loads of different ways of doing transitions. The big like trending one during lockdown was when you threw up your shoe, and when your shoe kind of was in line with your foot, you ended up transitioning to having the shoe on. Another one is where you chuck your clothes in the air and then all of a sudden you're fully dressed in them. So there's loads and loads and loads of different ways of doing it. For storytelling, transitions and wanting to be in different locations, so maybe you're doing a tour of a manufacturing site, for example, doing things where you can cover the camera and then pull back out and you're in a different location work really well.
Okay, good. Any other, what else is there? Is the Pixel better for TikToks than iPhone?
If you ask me, yes, just because I'm obsessed with everything.
Okay, yeah,
but no,
great.
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter as long as you clean your lens is the most important. I mean, some people that I know are creating TikToks with iPhone 10s, iPhone X's, and it's absolutely fine. The key thing is that you just make sure your lens is clean. You film in 4K, so set your phone camera settings to film in that mode is really important. So yeah, no difference between Pixel and iPhone, whichever you get on best with, really.
Brilliant. Okay, excellent. Any more questions before we draw to a close? If you have got a question, just come off mute.
I'm intrigued. Is it anyone using TikTok for their business currently, and is it working? Joanna, I can see your hand up.
Yeah, hi. Yeah, we at the moment, because we make marmalades and jam, so we're using recipes. So we're not like overselling. We're just sort of like, making a Victoria sponge or sandwich cake or something, and then here's a layer of our jam and everything. So we're getting quite good viewing. It's very respectable viewing. Nothing's gone sort of viral into millions, but I'd be interested to see whether you think we are doing the right thing, or if there was anything else that we could do, or sort of a bit of a trial and error.
Amazing. Love it. We are doing free TikTok audits again through the website, so if you want to go onto nonsensical.agency.
Oh, brilliant. Thank you.
I'm happy to take a look, and that obviously goes to anyone on the call.
Great.
Fantastic. That's amazing.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Love the fact you're giving it a go. I mean, a lot of people are scared because it's generally presenter led. People just go, oh no, not for me. And most people have heard of it because through their kids, right? So everyone's like, oh no. But the fact that you're giving it a go, I love it. Well done.
No, I'd like to, but also you mentioned about Shopify, and I mean, I keep being sent things. Oh, if you advertise, if you link your TikTok account to your Shopify and start advertising, I was a bit worried about the data protection. If you're linking the two things, how does that, all my customers' details on Shopify, giving them access, is that protected, or is it, how does that work?
Yeah, so I mean, you can, as long as you comply with GDPR. Same with Meta, is you can actually upload customer lists into Facebook and TikTok anyway, because it helps with your targeting. So as long as you're compliant with GDPR and people have opted in, then you can actually do that yourself, because it really helps. And what you can do then is do lookalike audiences. So you basically go and tell TikTok to go and find more people who look like your current customers.
Right.
And it's incredible in terms of how powerful that is from a targeting perspective. Again, morally, it's probably not the best thing in the world, but I suppose I'm now making about me. There might be someone else a question, but I suppose demographically our audience customer base is quite older. So I suppose I'm trying to bring in some younger people who might want to buy marmalade for their grandparents for Christmas or something like that. But whether that's the right attitude to have. Yeah, just think about Little Moons. Little Moons, you can't get them anywhere because of TikTok. And also the whole thing around, I saw it on TikTok, buying is unreal.
Yeah.
Bonkers. So yeah, I think from your perspective, actually you're opening up a whole new market, which is really quite powerful.
Great, thank you.
Good, thanks for that. Anyone else? We've got 4 minutes left, I believe. 2 minutes left, sorry. Anyone else? Anyone else? No? Okay. Good. Great. Well,
bamboozled them all.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think actions are to send the slides across to everyone who's obviously come onto this call. Again, can I take the opportunity to thank you all for joining in? I hope you found it relevant, of value, very insightful. I certainly did, and interesting. Thanks, Joe. Yes, and any other questions, obviously, that you've got in terms of support that you need around TikTok, please can you speak to your relevant relationship managers on the Accelerated Growth Programme, and we will see what we can do to help further. But for now, thank you very much indeed, and we hope to see you all very, very soon. Take care, everyone. Look after yourselves. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.